Welcome to Parts Forum 2024, everyone. Welcome. We appreciate every single one of you who made the trip to Chicago, whether it's flying in or a short drive. We appreciate it a lot. I hope we have a very, very cool both set of speakers, but also cool attendees in the room today, not only for thought leadership and discussing some of the trending topics, but also for networking, right? That's what these events are all about. That's why I very much encourage everyone who can to also join us for dinner and for the after party later, because that's where you really build relationships with people, right? But before we get there, before we get to the fun part, we're gonna go through a little bit of content. I will be your host today. I'll introduce myself here in a second. Hope you're all comfortable. If you have any questions regarding housekeeping, there's quite a few of us with the MARKT-PILOT thing running around. They know all about the organization for today. So hope you're comfortable. Make yourself feel at home here, and we'll kick it off. I will start with a brief intro session, and the main reason of that is because I want to set the scene for today. Yeah? This event, and that's very important to me, this event is not about MARKT-PILOT. This event is about challenges that we currently see in the parts industry and how innovative manufacturers are conquering and overcoming these challenges, and about how, and especially obviously, how do we leverage technology to do so. And that's what we're going to be focused on, or what we're going to focus on today. I have to do a little bit of a trip. Unfortunately, I don't have a clicker, so I'm going to wander here a little bit. But for those of you who don't know me yet, my name is Tim Geyer. I'm the Managing Director in North America for MARKT-PILOT. Helped start the company in Germany. That's where the accent's from, but that was probably pretty obvious. So joined the company as the third FTE in early 2021, and it's been a really, really fun ride ever since. Right now, for those of you who are not aware of it, we're about 140 people globally, with offices in Chicago and 3 offices throughout Europe, and it's been a blast. I was tasked with growing the US business in October of 2021, so made my way to Chicago, and most of you have probably heard the joke at some point, but I'm really glad that I survived my 3rd winter here. So still here, still strong, and we even had to move the rooftop event to down here because it's too hot. So I guess it's a good thing, and it's still a very cool space. So to set the scene, there's a couple of things going on in our industries right now. And one of the cool things about working for MARKT-PILOT and talking to dozens of OEMs every week is that we collaborate with a lot of different industries. And what's really interesting is that especially over the last 2 months or so, we keep hearing the same complaints or challenges from all our customers, regardless of whether that's in the construction industry or the refrigeration industry or in elevators or wherever it might be. We hear very, very similar challenges. There's a lot of economic uncertainty. Part of that is that it's an election year, and it's a pretty crazy election year as well. But in addition to that, we also still see effects from COVID, right? So for example, we do see that new equipment sales are down for almost any company, regardless of where we're at. And this is really, has a couple of reasons, but it's true for both companies who sell directly to end users, so to their customers, but also those selling through dealers. Or for those who are selling through dealers, it's mostly because their inventories are they're really stocked up, right? So dealers have a lot of inventory, that's why they're not buying new equipment from the OEM. And as a result, there's a lot of pressure in the business because barely anyone is hitting their quarterly numbers right now. Let's be honest. If you are hitting your quarterly numbers, congratulations, or your business plan was not ambitious enough. So it could be one of those reasons. And the last one, and that's really related to not hitting business plans, right? That means that there's a lot of budgetary constraints for new investment, new hires, etc. And that puts a lot of pressure on the business. And what we are hearing as a consequence from our customers across all the different industries is that the implication is that there's much more emphasis on the parts business. Yeah? We hear from all our customers, we hear that parts and aftermarket and service, they have to step it up a notch. Yeah? They have to come to the table, they have to contribute, and I see almost everyone nodding, which is good because it complements the picture that we're seeing. And yes, that means that it's a challenging time for all of us, yeah, because there's more pressure than usual. Usually it's like, yeah, they're doing fine, high margins, revenue grows a little bit, perfect. Now it means that there's more pressure on the business. But on the other side, that's an opportunity. Yeah? That's an opportunity for all of us to position ourselves better within the company and grow the importance of the parts business, of the service business, and claim a seat at the table in the corporate structure and show the rest of the company the impact that parts and service can have, not only on the short-term financial aspects, right, but also on customer relationships, on recurring revenue streams, and that's my main theme for today, to sustain a long-term competitive advantage. And that's what I'll be talking about next. So, business as usual, also on the parts side, it honestly won't do it this time. It won't do the trick, right? So just the old school will just raise all our prices by 5% and that'll get us to hit our quota. That's not gonna work anymore, especially with more and more competition on the parts and service side. Not only third-party competitors, but also dedicated service providers and other industry players. They've seen the margins in the industry and they've seen the inefficiencies in the industry, so they're coming for your parts business. Yeah? Business as usual, like 10 years ago, doesn't work anymore. And we definitely have to do better. And what doing better means is that you need to build out a competitive advantage, not only building it out, but also sustaining it over time. And that's what I'll be talking about today to set the scene. And you'll see that it translates very nicely into the agenda that we've built for today, because we will focus on 3 key stages of creating and sustaining that competitive advantage. Those 3 stages are, 1, creating the competitive advantage. So building something where there's a difference between what your customers are willing to pay and what they can get somewhere else. That's essentially the very simplified version of a competitive advantage, right? You have to create something that's of higher value and they are willing to pay a certain premium compared to what they can get somewhere else. That's the simplified scientific version of a competitive advantage, but just creating it is not gonna do it. You also have to capture it. Capture always means that there's something you have to win against someone else, right? Capture is a quite aggressive term, and we'll talk a little bit about how that translates into our industry. And then finally, and that's the main theme for most of the stuff that we'll be talking about, you have to keep it as well. Yeah? Especially in such dynamic times, it's not enough to say, great, we got to our market share goals or whatever, and for the next couple of years we'll be fine. Again, that's not how it works anymore. Yeah? So it's about how do we keep and how do we defend our competitive advantage. I'll keep it very brief because most of the content will come from the people who actually know what they're talking about because they're in the business every day, right? But I want to leave you with a few strategic high-level framework ideas before we jump into the specific case studies and the business-specific challenges that you will hear from our attendees and our panelists today. The first one is, how do I think about creating a competitive advantage? There's 2 main things that we can look at, 2 different dimensions. The first one is, how do we actually measure it? Yeah? How do we measure phase 1 of creating a competitive advantage? And the second one is, what are some sample initiatives? And we'll be talking about both today, but this is kind of the high-level framework that'll guide us through today. So when we think about step 1, creating it, how to measure it is really 2 main KPIs. On the one hand is, what is our brand value? So what are our customers willing to pay in terms of a premium for the offering, the service, etc., the parts that we are offering to the market? And 2, and that's going to be one core focus of one of the panels that we have today, is going to be installed base. So how big is our installed base in terms of how many machines do we have out in the field, and how well maintained is the installed base, and how well do we actually know it, how well can we track it, right? Some sample initiatives, obviously, to increase or to create that competitive advantage can be product and service bundling, but can also be pre-sale services. So how do you make yourself and your brand more valuable in the early stages of interacting with your customers or your potential customers? Now, when we talk about capturing, it gets even more interesting. Suddenly the KPIs, they change a lot. Now it's not about the brand value per se anymore, but it's about how do you compare to your competitors out there. Yeah? And the two main KPIs, depending on how you look at your business and how high level you are in the organization, you want to look at a wallet share or market share. So market share being defined as overall in terms of the total market that we have, how much of that are we actually capturing for all our parts. Wallet share could be specific to one specific customer, right? So some of us, we have really, really large key accounts, and then it's really important what is our wallet share for our top 5 key accounts, because that'll attribute 50% to our overall parts business, as an example. On the individual part level, it could be something as easy as win rates. Yeah. So when we quote 1,000 parts and we only win 500 of these orders, we have a 50% win rate. Why are we losing 50% if customers are already requesting these parts? Why do they not end up buying it? Yeah. So those are some things that you can do here to track it. And sample initiatives, mainly twofold. One is on the taking action side, and one is on the doing analysis side. Doing analysis meaning, okay, for example, how are we priced against the market? Do we have the stuff in stock that we need in order to be successful? What our customers are actually requesting? So for example, are we losing orders because of price? Are we losing orders because it's not available? It sounds pretty simple, but of course to get it working at scale is actually pretty difficult. And of course you can become much more proactive. So on the action side, that's where we really talk about becoming more proactive, and that's what we'll be focusing on in our first main panel today. And then finally, how do we keep it? And how do we keep our competitive advantage? Keeping competitive advantage is all about monitoring the market and being extremely dynamic in your tactics and in your strategies, right? Because you don't just want to see your wallet share or your market share for 1 year and stop measuring it for the next 3 years, because I can guarantee you that it's going to drop if you don't measure it in the meantime and if you don't act on keeping it at a high level. So track your market share, track your NPS, so your customer satisfaction, track your price image, what your customers tell you about whether you're being priced competitively in the market or not. And what you can do about it is first talk to your customers, look at objective research, of course, but then also reward your loyal customers and translate the loyalty into subscription services. Yeah, because that's when you really lock them in, depending on what your business model is. And of course, in a subscription service, just like ours, you have to provide a lot of value to keep customers happy. But if you do, then customers tend to be very loyal, and it's very plannable and very easy to forecast in terms of revenue. So you'll be a steady, strong revenue contributor to your company, and that's really important. And then finally, there's a couple of fundamentals that we have to get right in order to capturing and keeping that competitive advantage. And that's, you need a unified vision across the customer journey. So parts and service, it cannot be a silo. It has to be really well integrated with, for example, sales, but also with marketing. You need to give your teams access to the data so that they can drive decision-making in the field when they need it, and not once a quarter with a PDF that they're being sent, right? That's not enough. And you need the right team in place. But we'll talk a lot more about that in a couple of minutes here. So all our sessions are aligned to creating, capturing, or keeping a competitive advantage today. We will begin with this panel about the journey to becoming a more proactive parts business, where we assume that, well, all of us have some machines or some equipment or something in the field, so we created the competitive advantage already. Now, how do we go out and capture more of the market, and how do we keep our position? That's what we're going to start with. In the next step, we have our good friend Nico from Horvath & Partners giving us a presentation mostly about the keeping side. Yeah? How do you keep your competitive advantage in this volatile and very competitive environment? Then we'll have our very own Clemens, our Global Head of Growth, who will talk about our product roadmap here at MP and providing you with a little bit of a visionary outlook on what we are hearing from our customers and where we should develop our products into. What's very important for us here is that especially this session will be extremely engaging, yeah? Because we have so many experts in the room now, so we definitely don't want to miss the opportunity to hear from you and tell us what we are missing in order to build the future of technology. And finally, we will conclude with really going deep into the installed base, which is a gold mine for any manufacturer out there if you know how to leverage it. And we're going to hear from some very strong experts there, and very excited for that session as well. I'll leave you with 3 things today, so that you make the most out of Parts Forum. And the first one really is meet everyone else here in the room. Yeah? You're all here because you are innovators in your industry. Otherwise, you wouldn't come to Chicago for an event from a tech startup that grew up somewhere in Germany and now has a space here in Chicago. You wouldn't be here if you're not innovative, if you're not taking risks, and if you didn't want to change things for the better. So you're in a room with like-minded people, take the opportunity, grasp it, and network with everyone else here. You'll be excited what there is to learn from these others who are in the room. So definitely encourage you for that. We have awesome coffee over there. I had 2 already, so I'm a little jittery too. But we'll also have a few drinks later, so make sure that you use this opportunity today. The second one is, there's going to be a lot of input today, but don't overcomplicate things for your business. There's going to be a lot of things where you'll be like, oh, that's a cool idea, and we should do that, etc. Take a lot of notes, but at the end of the day, take 5 minutes and just highlight the 3 most actionable things that you can take away for your business, and start on Monday to see what's the one thing that I could actually start in terms of an initiative. Yeah? So that's how I approach these conferences, and it tends to work really well. So that's my recommendation. And then finally, really, just enjoy a great day here. I did the slides when I thought we'd be on the roof, but staying hydrated is important regardless. And most importantly, have a lot of fun, and welcome.